When the 2020 Tour Championships finally happened, it gave us some shock results and post-lockdown hair. And even without an audience, it still produced some unusual events.
Can I stop that one?
The tournament was only for the top 8 players in the world who could actually turn up, meaning we saw a lot more difficult and outlandish shots than normal. Trying to recreate all of these shots is going to be my most difficult challenge yet, and it really left me wondering, is it even possible? Welcome back. If it's your first time watching one of our videos, and it's fantastic to have you here. Sometimes it can be difficult to see how hard the game really is to play. So I'm going to do my best to replicate 10 shots from the Tour Championship, which should give you an idea on which was the hardest to play and allow you to vote on your favourite. Starting with Mark Selby, getting nicely on the black after this good opening red. Fortunately, the pot itself isn't too difficult, but Mark, whether he intended to or not, also canned this red. A little bit too hard or a little bit too soft on this shot, and I'm going to go either side. So pace is going to be absolutely crucial. This shot is played with a little bit of topspin, and it's more than likely that Mark wasn't intending to finish on the black here, and instead was trying to get the cue ball back safe down the other end of the table at the same time. After I finally managed to line the shot up right, it was just a case of playing the shot at the correct pace. Too hard and I'd come past the red on the left hand side, and too soft and it wouldn't break as wide and I'd go to the right of the red. I just had to get the speed exactly right to make the cannon. Would have liked to have got it in a few less attempts, but that's a pretty good start. Yang Pingtao's known for his attacking safety shots, and that's something that definitely wasn't missing in this match, managing to land a cue ball in a small gap behind the yellow from a length of the table safety. I don't think I need to say too much about this shot. Even getting close to the yellow is difficult, let alone getting in the small gap in behind it. This one needs to be played with exactly the right amount of left-hand side to produce the right angle off 2 cushions. Normally that's not too difficult, but the way this shot needs to be played and the position of the balls are making it a little bit harder than you'd expect. This shot's being made a lot harder by how close you've got to get to the blue. Ordinarily, you'd either play this shot thin with no side or play it with a lot of side to make sure you come round low of the blue, in exactly the same way as you would on a break-off. However, on this shot you need to come just above the blue on the top side, and the problem with that is usually when you play a shot on this line or close to it, the cue ball gets close to going in off in the bottom pocket. And because of that, as an experienced snooker player, I feel I have a mental block that prevents me playing the cue ball anywhere near this area. Because that experience tells me when you play a shot anywhere near this area, something usually goes wrong. Eventually I was able to work it out and get the cue ball a lot closer to the yellow. However, I just wasn't able to get the correct line and the correct pace on the same shot. Because getting right in behind the yellow meant getting a lot of things exactly right. That took a while, but getting the pace and line right wasn't easy, so I'm just happy to have got it at all, to be fair. On this next shot, Stephen Maguire manages to find a 4-ball plant that doesn't quite look like it should go directly into the pocket. Happily, this is one of 2 shots on this list that's really just a test of my ability to line up a plant. I think that's about right. More than anything, this was just a good spot because the first 2 balls look so out of line, it doesn't look like they'll actually knock the second 2 into the pocket. Stephen wasn't finished there and played another excellent shot in this break, and we'll be looking at that after we find Nathan in Taunton in the United Kingdom. This shot fooled the commentators who thought he'd be cutting it back into the top pocket. However, the natural angle is there as long as you can play a very accurate shot at quite a firm pace. This shot is only played with topspin. You need to be very accurate in the way you pot the black, but as long as you do, you should almost guarantee yourself position on one of the reds. I'm fairly good at these types of shot, but I was more than happy to get it after just 2 attempts.
All I had to do though really is pot the black fairly firm, but it was still quite a difficult pot, so I was happy to get it so quickly.
On to another plant, but this one from Mark Allen is going to be a lot more tricky because I'm also trying to pot the red into the middle pocket.
Okay, this time it's a lot harder to line up because not only have I got to get these 3 balls perfect into there, I've got to then make that red, hit that red and come onto those 2 reds to knock that one in the middle pocket. But it's not just that, because once I play the shot I've got to play that, which isn't going to be easy.
What I mean is not only do I have to set up the balls perfectly, I have to play the first red incredibly accurately to get it to go in the right place. Which means if I play the first red slightly too thick or slightly too thin, then both plants are going to be way off and I'm going to have to set this whole thing up over again.
That was a difficult plant. You really had to judge where you hit the first red, and I'm really glad I got it that time because that was a nightmare to set up every single time.
Stephen Maguire again, screwing the cue ball back into bulk off this excellent long red. But do I even have the cue power necessary to be able to play this shot?
Now if you've been kind enough to watch these videos in the past, you'll know it's on shots like these where I start to struggle, but my cue power's been improving and I actually think I've got this.
Even though I was a little way out on my first 2 attempts, I was easily able to get the cue ball back far enough.
So I'm really pleased with that. I can now get that much backspin on the cue ball fairly comfortably. It's now just a case of potting the ball.
Which is easy to forget, is still a difficult shot. You're playing into the pocket at a tight angle from the full length of the table at quite a lot of power. Make no mistake, this is probably the hardest single ball pot in this entire video.
So the good news is my cueing's good enough to play that shot, however there's still harder tests to come.
And this shot from Judd Trump is just that. The pot's straightforward enough, but he manages to screw back almost the right side of the blue.
This screw shot is going to be a lot more challenging. Surely I can't get anywhere near this. Well, that's better than I thought I could do. Oh wow, that's bad.
I was a little bit surprised I was able to play any more than a stun shot here, and on my 4th attempt I was able to get about 60% of the way there. Unfortunately, this was about as well as I was able to play it because I was already striking the ball about as low as possible, unless that is I could play the shot any harder.
Ha! Oh, that's going to be bad. Wow, that's half the tip gone.
As I was reshaping my tip, I realised it wasn't going to be possible, but that did give me an idea.
So I know it's cheating a bit, but what I'm going to do is replace this ball with this, which is the size of an American pool ball and crucially for us about 15% heavier, and that should be just enough to allow me to screw back a bit further. So the difference this is going to make is the normal red screws back about that easily, and with this giant great big ball it's about that much easier.
So unsurprisingly, straight away I was able to get close to where I needed to be on the blue. With my second attempt with this ball, I actually went a little bit too far.
So I had to resort to using this to get here, but I wasn't actually that far away with a normal red, though I think this is definitely the last time we can use this ball in this video.
After we find Jammer from Adelaide, South Australia, we're going to be attempting another Judd Trump shot. Fortunately this time we don't need the insane cue power we needed on the last shot. However, this time we still need to make an accurate snooker escape.
This sort of shot shows what a good understanding of the angles professional snooker players actually have. You're aiming for about the right quarter of a ball here off 2 cushions.
And on my first attempt I hit the right quarter of the red and got away with it. But this wasn't what we're trying to do. We're trying to play the shot off 2 cushions and get safe back down the bulk end. which is the sort of shot you only really practice when you're playing frames against other people, which there hasn't been a lot of recently, so it actually took me a little bit longer than I would have liked to get the shot right.
It's interesting because I haven't played a shot like that in months. That took me a little bit longer to get used to the angles, and I would have liked to have got it with a couple less tries. It's still a very accurate shot though to get that right first time.
Back to Yan Bintao again, this time needing snookers but managing to get the cue ball exactly where he wanted it.
Not only is this a difficult shot to play, you have to play it at exactly the right weight, and I could see this being a problem.
Initially with this shot I was incredibly surprised at how slowly the cue ball came back across the table, and you really had to hit it quite hard to get the cue ball anywhere near the pink and black. Getting the line right wasn't as difficult as I feared, yet it was still a struggle to do when you're playing a shot this hard. Even though I didn't manage to get the cue ball right in behind the pink here, I was still fairly happy with the result.
Not quite as close to the pink as I'd like to have been, but it's still not bad. What surprised me there was how hard you had to play the shot to get the cue ball all the way back across the table. I suppose it was just because it was actually quite a thick shot.
Judd Trump potting a red that once again doesn't seem too difficult until you realise that this time he's screwing the cue ball all the way back the right side of the blue.
You're probably thinking, why are you even bothering with this? You couldn't screw back from the bulk line. What chance do you have of screwing back from even further? But I think the difference is this time I can play the shot resting my cue on the cushion. Now that might not seem like it'll make enough of a difference, but
I do struggle to keep my bridge hand still sometimes, especially on shots that require a lot of power like this one, and keeping my hand on the cushion did seem to be helping a little bit.
all I need is a little bit more backspin, and I noticed when Judd plays it he sort of throws himself through the ball, so I thought I'd give that a go. I mean, that's not bad.
Already I was getting more reaction on the cue ball than I would have dreamt possible, but could I throw myself through the very bottom of it?
Ugh. Well, I don't think I can do better than that. I mean, I'm on the pink. Maybe one more go. That's even better. We're nearly there.
All I needed was a little bit more backspin, which I was confident I could get if I struck the cue ball at full power and timed everything perfectly.
Oh my god, we're nearly there.
Unfortunately, I didn't, but I was still confident I could get there, so I had to once again reshape my tip and give this shot another try.
Go! Go! Oh, I can do it. I can definitely do it. Oh my god. Well, I'm not the right side of the blue, but I'm taking that. I think that's about as well as I've ever hit a shot. When I first started doing these videos, I remember there was some Neil Robertson screw shot that I couldn't get anywhere near. And I remember there was this Jack Wazowski shot that I didn't think that was that difficult, but I couldn't get near that either. And now, when you consider how much my cueing has improved, when I didn't think it was that bad to start off with, it seemed better than all the players I was competing with at the time. Yeah, that's nuts really. Oh my god. Well, I'm not the right side of the blue, but I'm taking that.
Right now it's time to find Paddy in Westmeath Island.
So those were what I think were the top 10 shots in this year's championship. If you go to the link in the description, you can vote for your favourite. But if your favourite shot wasn't there, let me know in the comments what you think it was.
If you want to see me attempt shots from previous championships and the 80s as a whole, then have a look at these two videos. And remember, don't just watch, play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel and visit the website. See you later. When the 2020 Tour Championships finally